For a long time now, I wanted to make this video, and finally, here it is. Should overtime be allowed in beatbox battles or not? That is going to be the topic of today's video. I hope you're excited. Talkboxing with Stan, episode 3. Let's not waste any time and get into the video. Before we get into the video though, do you smell that as well? There is like a weird smell present in this room. It smells like controversy. Just want to give you like a small disclaimer, a small reminder that this is just my opinion and my view on the whole situation, on the whole topic. Anyways, that being said, let's get into the video. What I'm going to do for this video is basically the following. I'm going to lay out the spectrum, people who are pro and what arguments could be made, and I'll do the same for against. And then at the end, I will give you my opinion, where I stand, where I see myself on the spectrum, on whether it should be a thing over time or completely not. The first one is that beatbox comes from hip-hop, and back in the day, overtime always used to be a thing. And so that's like a potential argument, for the sake of like hip-hop spirit. When you go to a battle, having overtime just feels nice, for the sake of how it used to be in the good old days. It's culture, some people might even say. Now, another argument that I've heard people say is that it makes a very good show. And the first thing when people say this, that makes me think of this, is Kocha versus Uniteam, Uniteam versus Kocha.
Crowd in 3! We're gonna do an overtime round!
That basically, I was present there, GBB 2019, and honestly, I can confirm it was a great show. But yeah, regardless of what I think, I'm gonna give you my thoughts later, that's another argument. Overtime creates this amazing show and it creates like sphere, it creates vibe. Now, another argument that also comes to mind is that it's all subjective at the end of the day. See, like music, you cannot really judge it, a lot of people say, and it's like this personal taste thing.
This is an art form. It is kind of, is it subjective or objective? It's subjective. It could be objective too. Depends what the objective is, but in your head. But subjectively, it's someone's choice at the end of the day.
The argument here that has been made, or that a lot of people make, it's all subjective at the end of the day. What do you value? There is like no proper objectivity that can like decide which one is right or wrong. So that's why overtime, if it's all subjective at the end of the day, overtime is a possibility, and sometimes you just don't know. And so you vote like for overtime. So that's another argument right there, and probably like the biggest one. Now, those were the arguments that came to mind for pro overtime. Now, here are some arguments why people don't want overtime in beatbox battles. Some arguments that could be made on the other side of the spectrum. The first one is that it's not nice for participants. Oftentimes participants, if you're a beatboxer, you know that if you go into a battle and you make like a battle plan, going through the battle, you make your rounds, and we make like 1 minute 30 rounds, except for the elim. Oftentimes, overtime rounds are not like defined how long they are going to be.
Is it 30 seconds or 45? 45. Are you guys cool with that? Yeah. You don't have a choice.
It just catches like the participant off guard. And so for that reason, I know that a lot of beatboxers go also against it. As a matter of fact, what I sometimes even hear is it might be fun for the crowd, but it's not fun for the participant. Now, another potential argument that could be made why overtime should not be a thing is actually like an opposite statement of one of the arguments that was made in pro overtime, and that is that music is subjective. See, the argument here is that actually it's not, and that it's actually objective. Because of the existence of music theory, people argue here that music is objective, that collectively all people agreed upon what is good and what is not good, or what is music and what is not. And so that's also another argument here. And last but not least, here in Belgium, if you vote overtime, you are seen as a bad judge, because again, the whole argument is like beatbox or music, the attempt to make music is objective because of the fact that beatbox is like an attempt to try to make music, right? That's like the whole thing with it. And if you do overtime, then you just don't know what to judge. And as a result of that, you're a bad judge, basically. Anyways, now that I've mentioned potential arguments on both sides, I'm gonna give you my opinion, my view, my take on the whole thing. And see, for me, I'm actually like pretty extreme in this one. For me, I mean, you might as well guess I'm Belgian. But yeah, for me, overtime, no go. Now, as it stands to my opinion on whether overtime should be a thing or not, I'll follow up by the following argument to make like my point very clear and why I stand for completely not. There is like one exception, which I'll get into, but basically the reason why I don't want overtime or I'm against overtime is for the simple fact, one, it just like makes it hard for the participants. Also, like it makes it hard to judge. Like once you have overtime, what do? There are like no real rules there, you know, like, okay, you have an overtime. Do you judge now the overtime plus the normal rounds or only the overtime? See, it's like, it's already gray. There is like already like a gray area. And with overtime, you create even more grayness. And my beatbox vision is actually like complete opposite of like the grayness. Where I stand for, or where I would want the scene to go, is to make certain things way more clear. Because see, if you have clear rules, which actually is not that impossible with beatbox, because at the end of the day, I stand behind the argument that, again, beatbox performances on stage are an attempt to try to make music. And if that attempt is like not well done or not well executed, it should be judged properly and objectively. Again, why? Because music is something objective. Like if I do random sounds, sure, I can say like it's perceived as art or subjective good music. Notion with music theory, why music is a thing, you know, is because everyone, you know, agreed like, okay, this is music, this is not music. For me, when you're trying to attempt a beatbox performance, you're attempting to make music, you're attempting to showcase your music. Another thing is also like, it just doesn't make it like fun for the participants. Yeah, it just ruins like the whole game plan. Now, the one exception I mentioned is if you have ABBA. In regular format, AB is like not an option. If it's ABBA, I can't agree with that. Because again, there is like not like a matter of like, yeah, the judges just not knowing like, not being able to make a decision or like being like, should I go with it? The only way it should be, in my opinion, is ABBA, because that's like within the rules of like the format, you know, and that is also like not making it harder for the participant. And that also like still keeps like the pros of basically like the pro overtimers. You know, if you're someone who's pro overtime, then you still have a show, you still have like the hip hop spirit, you could argue. And so that's the only exception. But again, the reason why is not because of like the judges, you know, it's because of like, that's the format. That's like the playground where people adapt to, and there are rules and it's clear. And also we know like in ABBA, you always have 1 minute 30. And so as an extra round, you know, because oftentimes if you have overtime, yeah, like I've seen battles many times, people just come up on the spot with the amount of time you get. And that's just so annoying for the participants. While I do understand that a lot of people might like this and find this fun, that is though, I would argue, up until you're on stage and have to do an overtime round. Anyways, those are like my thoughts, my view on it. Overtime should not be a thing at all. It should be only in ABBA, I would argue. That's my view. That's my opinion on the topic. Let me know what you think down in the description. I'm gonna read everything. Let's have conversations about this. Anyways, wish you all the best. Take care. Peace. See you in the next one. Take care.